Hi friends, welcome to another Childhood Atlas video. Today we're going to Indonesia. And Indonesia is a place that asks a question that no other country quite asks the same way. What does it actually mean to raise a child, not just for themselves, but for everyone around them? Indonesia is the largest archipelago on Earth, 17,000 islands, 270 million people, more than 300 distinct ethnic groups, and more than 700 languages. A child growing up in Aceh and a child growing up in Papua live in what might as well be different worlds. Different food, different ceremonies, different languages spoken at home. And yet across all of those islands, through all of that diversity, there is a thread, a single idea that runs through almost every Indonesian childhood, in almost every language and tradition. An idea about what a child is for, not just who they will become, but what they will contribute, and to whom. Gotong royong. Gotong royong. It is the national philosophy of Indonesia, and it begins in childhood. The idea that no burden should be carried alone, that the work of living is a shared work, that when one person struggles, the community does not watch, it moves. In a country of 17,000 islands, it is the one idea that holds them together. And this episode is about how it shapes the children who grow up inside it. Indonesia is the fourth most populous country on Earth and one of the most geographically extraordinary. Stretched across 3 time zones along the equator, it is home to the world's largest Muslim population and extraordinary diversity in language, religion, and tradition. Hinduism in Bali, Christianity in Flores, Islam from Aceh to Java, and beneath all of it, a common philosophy of childhood. To understand how Indonesian children are raised, you need one concept above all others: Gotong royong. Gotong royong. There is no clean English translation. It is not just cooperation or helping out. It is the belief that burdens are meant to be shared, that community effort is the natural state, and that a person who carries something alone when others are available is doing something fundamentally wrong. It is taught not by lecture, but by living inside it from the very first day. When a baby is born in Indonesia, the community does not wait to be invited. Within days, family and neighbors arrive. In Muslim families, the Aqiqah ceremony introduces the child to God and to the community at the same time. In Javanese households, the Sehlapahnan marks 35 days of life with a feast that involves the whole neighborhood. The child is not yet walking or talking, but they are already known. The Indonesian family is rarely just 2 parents and their children. The keluarga besar, the extended family, is the standard unit. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins share households, or live close enough to be present daily. An infant in Indonesia is held, spoken to, and tended by many hands. The idea that 1 or 2 people are solely responsible for a child, is in most of Indonesia simply not how it works. Indonesian early childhood is profoundly social. Traditional games like chong klak, a counting and strategy game played with shells or seeds, are played in groups across ages. Older children teach younger ones, not because adults arranged it, but because that is how the games have always been passed down. Play is not separated from community. It is one of the first places a child learns what gotong royong actually feels like. For the majority of Indonesian children, there is a second education running alongside school: mengaji, the practice of learning to recite the Quran, beginning as young as 5 or 6. Children attend in small groups in the evenings, at a neighbor's home, or at the local mosque. It is not experienced as a burden. It is social time, community time, a place where children of different ages sit together and learn something their parents and grandparents also learned. Indonesian children are not educated primarily through instruction. They learn by being included. A child joins the batik making because they are there, and someone hands them a tool. They help prepare food for a ceremony because it needs to be done, and small hands can help. Craft, cooking, farming, ceremony. These are not separate from childhood. They are what childhood is made of. Formal schooling in Indonesia is compulsory for 12 years. But the curriculum is not only academic. From the first year, children study pancasila, the 5 founding principles of the Indonesian nation. belief in one God, a just and civilized humanity, the unity of Indonesia, democracy through deliberation, social justice for all. These are not just history lessons, they are the values a child is expected to live by, from the moment they can sit in a classroom. For millions of Indonesian children, school is not just a day experience. The pesantren, the Islamic boarding school, is where an estimated 4 million students live, study, and form their character away from their families inside a community of peers and teachers. Students wake before dawn for prayer, study through the day, and spend evenings in communal learning and work. The pesantren does not just teach religion. It teaches what it means to be part of something larger than yourself. Indonesia is also a country in rapid transformation. A growing middle class, an expanding economy, and a generation of young people who are deeply online are reshaping what childhood looks like in the cities. Academic competition is intensifying, private tutoring is growing, parents increasingly want their children at the top of national rankings. And the old values of Gotong royong are being tested against a newer, louder idea, that individual achievement is what the modern world rewards. Indonesian children are expected to master something called hormat, respect, from a very young age. It shows up in everything. You address adults as ibu, mother, or bapak, bapa, father, even strangers. You do not interrupt. You do not eat before the elders have been served. When greeting an elder, you bring their hand to your forehead. These are not optional courtesies. They are the grammar of Indonesian social life. And a child who does not know them is understood to have been poorly raised. Indonesian children also learn a way of making decisions that is fundamentally different from what most of the Western world teaches. Musyawarah. Deliberation through consensus, not majority voting, not the loudest voice winning. Everyone speaks, everyone is heard. And the outcome is the one that the group can live with together. Children watch this process in family meetings, in village decisions, in school councils. They learn that asserting yourself over others is not the goal. Finding the solution that holds us. The goal of Indonesian parenting is not, primarily, to raise a successful individual. It is to raise a person who knows their place within a web of relationships and who shows up for that web without needing to be asked. A good child in Indonesia is not the child who achieves the most. It is the child who contributes, who helps without prompting, who senses what is needed and moves. Gotong royong is not taught as a lesson. It is absorbed as a way of existing in the world. Underneath Gotong royong sits another value, rukun, harmony. The deep goal of Indonesian social life is not excitement or progress or self-expression. It is the absence of conflict and the presence of ease. Children are raised to maintain rukun, to smooth tension before it breaks, to preserve the warmth of the group. It is not passivity. It is a form of social skill that takes a lifetime to develop, and that Indonesians consider one of the most important things a person can carry. What is truly remarkable about Indonesia is not its diversity. Diversity is everywhere. What is remarkable is that a country of this scale, with this many languages and religions and traditions, has managed to pass a shared philosophy of childhood across all of them. Gotong royong is not a Javanese idea, or a Muslim idea, or a Balinese idea. It is an Indonesian idea. It is taught in every school, present in every ceremony, visible in every neighborhood. A child on any island knows what it means. We have visited many answers to the question of what a child is for. Nigeria said, "The child belongs to the village. The elder guides them, the community shapes them, the wisdom of the ancestors holds them." Germany said, "The child belongs to themselves. Bildung, individual formation. The path cleared not for them, but from within them." Indonesia says, "The child belongs to the web, not above it, not below it, but woven into it, carrying what needs to be carried, together." In this series, we have been tracking a single question. Who does a child learn to trust? Finland, child. Korea, work. Brazil, connection. Nigeria, village. China, family. Norway, nature. Ethiopia, elder. Germany, self. In Indonesia, I think the answer is community. not a building or a leader or a tradition, the living, breathing, showing up for each other community. The thing that Gotong royong creates every time it is practiced. The Indonesians have a word for what that community makes you feel. Syukur, gratitude. But not the gratitude of receiving a gift. The gratitude of belonging to something, of waking up inside a community that has shown up for you before you could ask, and knowing, somewhere in your body, that you are not alone. Indonesian children are raised inside that feeling. The community feeds it, the ceremonies mark it, the daily acts of Gotong royong renew it. Syukur is what accumulates when all of that has been going on long enough. Syukur. Here's something to sit with. Is there a person in your life who showed up for you without being asked, before you even knew you needed it? Someone who practiced Gotong royong in your direction long before you had a word for what they were doing? Go through the comments. I go through every single one. If this episode made you think differently about what community actually means, that is exactly what this series is for. Subscribe so you don't miss our next stop. And if you haven't seen the Nigeria or Germany episodes, they are the perfect companions to this one. 3 countries, 3 completely different philosophies about what a child owes the world. Next time, we are heading to Canada. I'm Mara. See you next time. Bye, friends.